Yo, yo, what's up, guys? What's up, Price? What's up, Backwoods? What's up, Wolf? I can't see, I can't see the shit on this motherfucker right here. Hang on, I'm gonna refresh it. Oh, there it is. Alright. Cool, cool, cool. So I can see that. I can scoot this over like this. It's all good, fuck it. And Steve, what's up? Hey, guys. So, I'm gonna apologize up front. I don't really have a show per se. Um, in fact, this is kind of gonna be a little bit of a kind of by winging it. Really, might just end up being a Q&A show. I have a couple of things I can show you guys and talk about, but for the most part, I had some. This motherfucker is not. No, that's not right. It's like that. What's up, Angel? All right, so, fucking where to begin? So you might notice I look a little more scruffy duff than I normally do. Normally this time would be celebrating the fact that the house, we're supposed to be closing on the house next week, and we got thrown for a curve that we're working through, and it might just delay things a little bit. But initially, when they first told us this snafu, they were talking 3 months, to which I lost my fucking mind. Let's see here, Wolf, that's cool. Should make it even more surprising. Yeah, no doubt, right? Surprising and interesting, to say the least. Backwards, I got to see Deadpool 2. Glad I didn't watch your spoiler alert. Good, good, good. Somebody did, and I felt really bad because they're like, I really shouldn't have watched the spoiler. I was like, fuck. That's why I was trying to say don't watch the spoiler. But yeah, I like Deadpool 2 a lot. I got a really good friend of mine. He actually does not like Deadpool, and he was talking so much shit that I almost considered unfriending him just because of that. But you know, he's a really good artist. He did. You guys might recall that art right there. He did a long time ago, probably a couple of years ago, where he did Deadpool, Punisher, and superhero version of me. And Daisy, shut up. Seriously, you're on my shit list, and I'm gonna tell the world about your little escapade, you little bitch. So this is how bad. This is how bad yesterday went down. I was pretty much at my wit's end. Uh, First and foremost, if you've never ever had the pleasure of closing on a house, first and foremost, there's a lot of scrutiny that they put you under. They look at all of your money stuff. They look at your bank accounts. They look at fucking pretty much everything. In fact, you even sign a thing that lets them contact the IRS and get your tax returns and things of that nature. Um, which is a very, very, very detailed accounting of your life. And, you know, it's a big ticket item. So, you know, you kind of understand it, right? But we had a checklist that they kept giving us that kept changing. Oh, we need this now. We need this now. Yes, we did everything. And so we gave them the last thing on the checklist, and we thought we were golden, you know, because they told us, yeah, come Wednesday, you know, the CD will be here. And I don't even know what the fuck the CD is. It's audio, obviously not an audio CD. It's something else. Something I had to order. So anyway, they said, you'll do that. You'll do the walkthrough on the house on Tuesday. And everything goes according to plan. We'll meet up on Thursday. We'll sign the big Bible of documents. And we'll give them the big money for the closing. And then, you know, later on that night, we were supposed to get the keys. Yeah, really, right? Um, so I was like, we jumped through all these hoops, and I was like, okay, cool. And we were tentatively excited, but at the same time, a little bit more practical and measured in, you know, what we were thinking because, you know, we were jumping through massive hoops. And then my wife calls me up as I'm picking up my kids, telling me, you know, all this stuff that they came back at us and said it might be 3 months. Now, you can see some of this back here behind me. We already have this apartment 75% packed up. And I was like, we already gave notice on this apartment and we're done. We put a lot of things in motion that suddenly we had to go, oh shit. So to make matters worse, 30 minutes after I got all this information, I had a conference call with my day job, a video conference where we were all supposed to be talking about stuff and this, that, and everything else. And I was so pissed off and I was so angry. I slammed my steering wheel and my damn airbag light came on my dash. And I was like, oh my God, I fucking broke my airbag, or just a sensor might have got triggered. I have to go and figure out how to reset that bitch. Because I've turned the car off, turned it back on, turned the car off, turned it back on multiple times since then, and that fucking light stays on. So I'm like, shit. But I'm sure it's just some kind of a reset. I hope I didn't break the shit to the point where it's telling me the airbag is fucked up, because, you know, that's your big safety thing in your car. Anyway, I come in and I'm doing my conference call, and I find out some people had gotten let go. And it directly affected what I do in the company, basically increasing my workload by 25%. And I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, great. That's another whack, right? And, okay, I'll try that price. I'll try to pull the terminals off and then put them back on. I guess like that's the equivalent to like clearing the memory in the system, huh? Okay. So then, you know, I'm like, oh, fuck. Okay, fine. So we have friends that do mortgages and stuff like that. So me and the wife went and hung out with them and we talked and they helped put our mind at ease. And that was awesome because, you know, they're super, super cool. They gave us a lot of inside background information to help us figure stuff out. So we have multiple game plans and multiple options available to us to solve this particular house dilemma. So we were like, cool. So we come home and come to find out my dog pissed in our bed on my wife's side. To which my wife is just like, come the fuck on. Are you serious? And I'm like, all right. So pull off the sheets and stuff, clean off the mattress, flip the mattress over so, you know, not sleeping on any piss. And we sit there and just, you know, talk till late at night, and then I'm sleeping and I wear a hey, what's up, Magic? I wear the CPAP, and I was sitting there, and all of a sudden at like 1 o'clock in the morning, a soda can that I had, oh you bitch, did I spill anything? No, good, it's empty. A soda can that I had sitting on the nightstand next to me somehow just spills and just pours all down my back, and it's like icy cold. And so I'm like, oh, it's like I flinch and I twist to, you know, you get something cold on you, and I throw my back out. So I'm basically stuck in the bed with soda running down my back into my ass, right, down my legs, and I'm just like, come the fuck on, because the bed's got a slope to it. And so my wife's thinking she's dreaming this because the shit I'm screaming out just doesn't make any fucking sense to her. And so we still had the paper towels from cleaning up the dog piss. So she's getting it to me and we're clearing the bed out and everything. And I'm just like, I get out of the bed and I hobble and my legs are giving out on me because my back is just blown at that point. And I'm just like, what fucking else? You know, so I look out the window just expecting a meteorite to shoot through the windows and rip my balls and dick off, and And I'm just like, okay, fuck, whatever. It is what it is. We'll work through this like we always do, so no big deal. But it was a definite trying day, you know, and you know, I'm sure at some point we'll laugh our asses off about all of this. But for right now, it's kind of bleh. It's not that fun. So I finally we had no sheets on the bed because of the initial dog piss and because everything's packed up. So all of our linen changes and shit, they're all packed up. So we took a sheet that I normally use to cover me. We use that as our bed sheet, right? So when the soda poured down, we dried it up, and then I ended up. My wife laid a few towels down, and I ended up sleeping on a fucking towel all night long. And so I woke up this morning, and I had the craziest bed marks on my body ever, and it freaked me out for half a second because I was groggy. I taking a piss, and I look over in the mirror, and I had all these weird dimples and shit on my skin. I'm like, the fuck? Oh yeah, I slept on a fucking bunch of towels. So anyway, we got up late today, and then we ran some errands, and went and looked at the house. Look, everything looks done. We're like, wow, that's fucking amazing. Like a lot of the adjacent house all look nice and done too. And we kind of went sightseeing around the area. It's funny because I've lived here for over 10 years, and there's a whole section of the area we live in and we never explored. And we found this canyon road, and we went up this canyon road, and it was just breathtaking. It was really beautiful. And we get up there, and the roads kind of converge into a single lane type deal, and there's like a big canyon drop off on one side. And so of course my wife's terrified of heights. She's like, okay, I'm not excited anymore, let's get the fuck out of here. So we get up and we turn around, and you know, we're coming up against other cars, and we're going up on these things like this so that we can get past each other. It was crazy. And so we found a donut spot we didn't know existed, and we got some donuts and brought it home, and basically just made the day better, and decided, you know what, we're not going to worry about this shit until we actually have something to worry about. So come Tuesday, we'll pick up where we left off and keep going from there and just see what happens, you know. Like I said, we have multiple plans. We have multiple options available to us. Unfortunately, if we do go plan B, that's a lot more expensive, and I'm going to have to figure out how to get a couple more grand. And, you know, probably what I'll do is I'll probably just sell some blades that I have that there's a couple guys, they've been wanting some of my shit forever and a day, and I'm just like, fuck, you know, if I have to, I have to. We'll figure it out. I'm not really worried about it. But I feel bad because when all of this was going down, I lost my shit pretty bad, and I lost it in front of the kids because I was picking them up at school. And I try to make a point of not flying off the handle. When I was young, I have a temper, but it was really bad, and I tried not to do that in front of my kids if I can help it. But this was one that I was so mad about everything. So I felt bad. You know, my kids are they're nervous about it. You know, the dog's obviously nervous about it because the dog took a shit this morning out in front of the laundry, and that was just, what the fuck, you know? But I'll explain to my kids, I said, shit, you guys are feeling it. Obviously the dog is feeling it because the whole apartment's packed up. That's a big change right there. And the dog's picking up all of the vibes and shit like that. And the dog heard me screaming. I'm sure the dog had never experienced that before too. So the dog is probably like, oh my God, what the fuck is going on? So it's been interesting. And I got up this morning, I sat in front of this computer, and I started trying to look at the news and the entertainment stuff, and I saw, oh shit, Solo popped off last night. I realized, fuck, you know, I I was like, man, I have nothing really to do entertainment wise. So I started setting up. I actually dug out a copy of Deadpool, the game, and I was testing that on OBS this morning. Steve hopped on first thing this morning, and he was like, "Hey," I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And I just wanted to make sure that that stream worked. And then I also found Borderlands 2, got that dialed in, and there was another one, a different game. I'm drawing a blank now on that other game. South Park. I never finished streaming on that South Park Fractured Butthole, and I said, yeah, I need to do that at some point. And then, you know, the other thing that really kind of threw me with the whole house thing is, you know, I had planned to, once we got into the house, roll back into the Angry Jackalope stuff and, you know, dust it off and have a dedicated spot for me to do testing and stuff, because I can't really do it here in the apartment. It's just not conducive to doing the types of tests that I want to do. So I was all excited for that, and then, hey, what's up, Chris? So then when that stuff started going down, I was like, holy shit, I won't, that's going to push my whole Angry Jackalope stuff by 3 months. And I was like, come on, man. So you could see one little snafu can derail a lot of different things that I had planned. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's the game plan, man. That was the game plan. But you know, when you get these snafus, you just have to adjust, course correct, and say, okay, well, you know, can I do what I need to do, and can I not do it? You know, so it's just it's frustrating because you realize, well, I guess the thing that really bothered me the most was the feeling of impotence, right? Like not having any power or recourse against what was being told to me. You know, it's like, oh yeah, you're not gonna be able to get into this house for 3 months, and I'm like, are you fucking out of your mind? You know, and that rage tore through me so deeply that I was just like, shit, this really sucks. But you know, like I said, I've had 24 hours to calm the fuck down, really assess things and say, okay, you know what I mean? Exactly, Price, exactly. And so I told my wife, you know, fuck. Actually, my wife told me, let's put it in God's hands and see what happens. I'm like, and I didn't want to hear that. I really didn't fucking want to hear that, because I'm pretty much a control freak. I set game plans, I execute against them, and I usually do pretty good. To give it to the unknown and say, fuck it, we'll throw the dice and see what happens, that's not really one of my strengths. I'm not really good at just flying off the seat of my pants. I've just, you know, it's like, I'm used to like saving a day by the skin of my teeth. You know, I'm used to that shit, but, you know. And then the other thing that was really frustrating me was the fact that, you know, I wrote a trilogy in 7 months, and I had some pretty good people read it and had really good feedback. And then it seems like the publishing industry is only interested in books that are pushing LBGT. What is it? LGBT. Yeah, LGBT, ABC 123 fucking agendas. And I know this is a fact because as I'm sitting on Twitter, these same agents that I've been pushing shit out to are saying, oh, we will pick up an author right now if you cover a transgender boy in this environment. And I'm like, are you fucking serious? You know? And so I've had a lot of frustration from that shit because I went through literally 320 fucking agents that represent urban fantasy. And I've got 4 left. and they've had it in their hands since March, April, May. So that's 2 fucking months. You know, this turnaround for submitting to, this is not even publishers. These are just fucking agents. But you have to have the agents to approach the publishers. It's just fucking stupid. And so there's been a lot of things that have just been, yeah, it's stupid. Stupid. But, yeah, that's why I don't really have a big show planned. I did have a cool little Blade to show off, and I know a lot of you fuckers are Blade fanatics, so I think you guys will appreciate this. So a while back, I had got my wife a Lioness, and when it showed up, I was playing with it, and I said, man, yes, Steve, I did know Jessie. Actually, I know Jessie. She's a graphic designer just like I am. She's a real cool person. I've talked with her just a handful of times. But, yeah, I saw her on that Knife or Death, and I was kind of sad that the chicken, she didn't make it through the chicken. I had concerns about her getting through the fish, but I thought she'd be able to take that chicken out. And I think some of it was she had just rushed and just couldn't get her game right. Because she was used to doing, you know, the chopping that she would do for one of these Blade show type competition, you know, one hand behind the back and the other just chopping. But anyway, so my wife had a Lioness, and it was purple, and I thought, oh man, this is actually a pretty cool blade. And then they did one, a Lioness that was brown with some acid rain on it, and I said, you know what, I really like it. And so I got one, and I really do like it. In fact, I like it so much that I requested from Topps. I said, look, can you guys do me a favor? And can you make one of these about twice as big? Because then I have a good fighter, you know. But I do like this form factor, and I do enjoy it. And I said, look, make a big fucking thicker one, because, you know, this one's actually pretty thin. That's why it's really sharp. It's kind of got a real thin profile to it. I said, make one a little bit thicker, make it bigger, and call it the Pride Protector, or call it the Lion, or Leo, whatever you want to call it. But make it bigger, you know, little more handle, because I love everything about it. I love the design of it. You know, I like where the jimping is at, right here in the back, the choil on the front. You know, the form factor feels really good. I just want one that's fucking bigger. And I think Craig just probably laughed his ass off and was like, you're fucking nuts. But I definitely think there's a market for it. And, you know, it snaps in really good on the Kydex. You know, that's no big surprise there. They've got their little adjustable clip. I carry it kind of scout so that it hangs along my waistline, and it just presents up a little bit, so I can just reach with my left hand. With my left hand, because I carry it on my weak side, so I carry it, and so when it comes out just like this. And the reverse grip is really natural and nice with this particular blade. So anyway, I just figured I'd share something with you. You know what I mean? If the chicken doesn't get you, the fish probably will. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you know, I thought about that. I was definitely thinking the same thing. Reaver Cleaver on Wolf, I was thinking that would probably be able to go through a lot of their tests. And it's funny you mention that, because as I was looking at this blade, I was thinking about that show, and I was like, what would be cool is if they had a blade, right, a nice long cutter on one side, and then on the back side you got your handle, and then instead of just your little standard lanyard hole, punyo in, whatever, if you had a chisel, you had a pry bar or something on the ass end of the blade that's not super sharp but does have some kind of a wedge shape to it. So On the one side, you have bah, bah, chop, and then you come to something like the ice, bash, 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 and you get most of that stuff torn out. Then you come back, and then you'd be able to cut through that, right? And then you get to the other test, you got your big cuts, because you need to have length on those blades. I mean, no way around it, especially with those, that fucking fish, man. You need to hit that fish at that right angle. You need to come down at that 45. You can't come straight across on that fish. It's just too much. And then and the other thing too is I was watching some people hit the belly and get to the spine. I'm like, no. You need to hit it from that spine side, get through that bone first, and then make sure you got enough carry through to take it all away. And that was the thing that kind of bothered me too. I was like, I guess now that I'm actually about to say this, I think I know the answer now. I was like, Jess and them didn't get a chance to watch any of the other stuff, and I think, no, they probably didn't. They probably came at this completely in the fucking dark, Yep. A chisel on the back end and some kind of a super... Yeah, exactly. Some kind of a hybrid midget pole arm, right? So you've got a good, almost like, what are those things called? A Naginata. So you have like a Naginata front end, where you've got your big pole arm, kind of like a Tonto tip, so you have that reinforced strength in case there's something super hard you have to penetrate through, but give yourself enough pull, and then have something on the back end. So I just don't know if they would allow that, if they'd say, no, it's only for swords or knives, right? But, I'd be like, man, this is just some shit made custom for anything you throw at me, But yeah, that would be super cool. I mean, it's kind of a neat concept show. Like, I was watching it going, ooh, that would be fun to do, having the little levers and stuff like that, and you're chopping the bucket and you're watching the sand pour out, and then counterweight drops down. It's like, that's pretty neat, I wouldn't go on the show though myself personally. I'm just not in good enough shape. I think from the mindset of what would be involved, I think it would be a fun thing to do, but I can't see any kind of competition. What's funny is Prepare Mind 101 has said several times on Facebook, I think, he'd love to go on the show. And I'm like, ooh, I'd like to see that. Because, there's been times in the past where I've done reviews and I've chopped a 2x4 stupid, like, straight down. And the problem that a lot of people weren't really aware of, yeah, backwards, this would be kind of a cool little neck knife, huh? One thing that a lot of people were not aware of, exactly. Well, the guys that were doing it, that were really kicking ass, they were using, like, Viking swords and things like that. But... what happened here? Oh.
My Fortnite.
Okay, be careful. Careful with the dog. Hang on a second, I got somebody dinged me. What is this? So yeah, Chris from Prepare Mind 101, there were several times where I was doing stuff and he was like, oh man, my blade for the show sent you a pic on Messenger. Yeah, I'm looking at that. Is that a BK? That looks kind of like a Becker. I can't quite tell. Or is that a custom blade? Here, see if I can... I'll share with you guys. No, it's not a Becker. What is that? Is that a custom blade? Kind of reminds me of Rat Bastard a little bit. Let's see if... No, I don't know if you guys... Yeah. There you go. You can see it. So Chris was like, he'd watch me hit this 2x4, and he's like, oh man, I'd go through that 2x4 in like 5 minutes, not even 5 minutes, like, oh, I'd go through it in like 30 seconds or whatever. And I was like, yeah, but you guys don't understand, sometimes when I'm sitting there, I'm hitting it, it's coming straight, because sometimes to get that right angle, you have to pivot and get that lean in, and my back is so jacked up that sometimes when I lean, like right now, because I threw my back out last night, right now when I lean like this, I feel a twinge that shoots down my fucking leg, and then I get this lightning bolt that hits the small of my back and shoots up. So there's some early videos, if you guys are really eagle-eyed and you watch, and you see me coming, I swing down, and I'm hitting at that angle, you see me wince, because every time I'm hitting, boom, it's like there's a shock that goes through the arm, hits the body, because when you hit, you give that full strength and you're hitting, you suddenly stop and that vibration shoots back through your arm and you feel it through you. And I'm at that angle and it vibrates enough that small of my back was like, boom, little micro explosions and shit. And I was like, ah, fucker. Boom, ah, fucker. Boom, ah, you motherfucker, you know. And then you'd see me switch to my left hand and you'd see me try to do the angles on the left, you know. And sometimes it worked, sometimes it wouldn't. And it wasn't that I was not aware of the proper angles. It's just sometimes it's hard to do it. You know, especially those early videos, there was nothing holding my 2x4s other than me. I was sitting there holding a 2x4 with my hand, dangling it on a fucking log and just chopping at it, which is stupid too. You really shouldn't do that. 4 foot long Bowie knife might do it. Maybe a zombie go boom executioner sword. Yeah, that executioner sword's actually got a pretty interesting design. It might. I guess it would have to be twice as heavy to chop through heavy stuff. Well, one of the things that's kind of sucky in that testing is the ice block. There was a girl, she came through with a samurai sword, you know, I'm not sure if it was like a katana or whatever. It was kind of short. It wasn't a wakizashi. It was supposed to be a traditional samurai sword. And that bitch rolled on the ice like nobody's business. And I think, you know, it wasn't even like a Ronin katana. You know, like Ronin makes some pretty cost-effective katanas. You can go from, you know, $180, $300, $500, $800, $1,200. Obviously, when you get to $1,200, you know, you've got a very interesting blade. But you know, those katanas and stuff like that, you know, they have an interesting heat treat on them to make them not quite as hard as, like, you know, some of the blades that you might necessarily want. So as soon as I saw a girl roll up with that, I was like, oh, that sword is gonna have fucking problems. And she went to town with that shit, and it kept bending, and I was like, oh, fuck. It hurt my soul to watch that shit, to be honest with you. You know, that's why... Exactly. I mean, you kind of... That's why I was thinking of, you know, a double purposed blade. So you've got the handle, you've got the sharp pointy point side, and then on the other side you've got the chisel pry type deal, and you know, that's it. Yeah, you know what's funny is the one dude that came through with the blade from the Philippines or Thailand or something, and he had glue on it, and homeboy that does the blade test is like, I'm sorry, your blade does not make the cut. You know, and I love the cheesiness of that show, because, you know, you got, oh, this is very interesting. You know, it's like you're listening to this you know, commentary, and I'm just dying. I'm like, this is pure fucking knife entertainment for fuckers like us. We just watch it and go, oh. You know, one dude came through with a cold steel sword that did very well. It did very fucking well. 60 on the edge, 50 on the body of blade. Yeah, again, that's why I'm saying I want the dual, because you need something that has a pry point to it that's super strong. Like, if they had an M4X Punisher that was twice the length, okay? Twice the length, and right from, maybe with a more accentuated belly to it. The belly comes down and then swoops in, and then the swoops in is a thinner profile, so you have you know, a nicer edge for chopping through rope and shit like that. They're more beefy on the bevel side to handle shit like chopping through ice. And then you know, that diamond tip on the piece there for smash, 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 smash. You know, that would be kind of cool. You like when their shit breaks, funny, but not. Yeah, you know, it's one of those things, man. You look at it, and you go, that is not the appropriate tool for this competition. You know it right when you see it. Especially when you watch enough of it, you go, you damn near do need a sword. But not just any sword. It seems like the folks that have a two-handed blade fare better than the folks that do one-handed stuff. Because obviously with two hands, you're going to get twice that leverage as you're swinging down. Especially on those angular cuts for the fish and the chicken. You know, because the problem is you get one hit on those fuckers. And you have to generate enough power and hit it at a right angle, because if you hit it wrong, the fucker's going to swing and go with your hit, you know? I learned that shit the hard way with the sharkalope with the elk leg that was just dangling from two ropes. I thought, oh, you know, you got a rope here and a rope here, the legs in the middle, you know, that should be enough. But if I had been smart, I would have put ropes on the bottom to hold it and lash that down so that it didn't have any play or move, right? So when I went and I fucking hit it with that sharkalope and that bitch just rolled with it, and I had the sinking fucking feeling that I had fucked that blade up, man. My heart fucking freaked the fuck out. Walk in with a Jessex and yell out, I'm here to fuck some shit up. You know, the original Jessex, it's a pretty good blade. I chopped a lot of crazy stuff, and that was 1070. And at first, when I was like 1075, I'm sorry, 1075, and I was like, man, I think this steel is gonna be too soft for what I want to do, and it handled remarkably well against hard shit like the frozen pig head. I was like, Jesus Christ, this 1075 is good steel for abuse. You know, the harder you go, you run a chance when you hit something hard that you chip the blade. Whereas with the softer, yeah, you just roll it. So it's almost funny. Like, that's why I keep saying, I think if you really want to dominate, either A, you just go Gonzo, you go in with a two-handed fucking sword, and you practice with that bitch, and you get your angles. You know, that's the deal. That whole fucking show is all about angle of attack. And just watching them go at it, and then be able to, like, I like kind of like a medieval fucking two-handed blade, where past the handguard you've got the you've got exposed metal that's not sharp, that you can get hands up on, so you can actually come up closer and use that. I think that type of a blade would fare pretty well in there. Plus, you have to be a large enough guy or gal to be able to throw sufficient body weight behind it to get that power there. If you don't have the power and you don't have the angle, oh my fuck, that's tough. Some of that shit was pretty tough. Wolf says, I'm surprised at how short some of those blades are. Seems ridiculous considering the context if you need a decently long sword to cut that fish in half. Yeah, see, that's where I was thinking they don't let them know ahead of time. Because you would think Jessie, for example, would have seen previous episodes and known what she was going up against and said, you know what, this blade's not long enough. It's not. You know, you've got a fish's body this fucking big, and your blade basically is just that length. I mean, you'd have to hit that fish at the spine side, right? And have enough force as you're coming through and maintain it. So you get through the bone and get that initial resistance and just keep pushing, you know? And then it would probably be okay. But I saw a lot of those short blades hit the fish, cleave through, and then just a little skinny piece of flap held that bitch on there. You know? A real katana, a real katana might be able to do it. But again, remember, katana's not built for chopping ice. there's your problem. It's designed for taking legs and arms and heads. You know, it's really good against medium density items and muscle and skin. That's really what it's designed for. The ice is the problem, and the ice is early on in the competition. So there's your problem. That's why things like the longsword, they are, like the two-handed longsword, for example, like a Viking longsword, like one of the big ones, or even the old knights of Europe, the ones that had the big, huge cross guards to them and stuff like that. Those have enough heft and weight behind them that and they're double-edged. That's the other key. So, they're relatively wide too, comparative to the katana, which is a little thinner. They're hitting bam, bam, right? And then if you fuck that side up, flip the blade, you still got a good usable edge for the rest of the challenge. Katana's only edged one side, so there's your problem. If you had a double-edged katana, that would be hot. That would probably work really well. But yeah, it was funny watching people that competed. It was almost like, it's my belief anyway, it was the first time they saw the challenge, because they go, oh shit. Because you see like stuff like cutting the bucket, the sand's coming out, and they just kept going. Yeah, exactly. Just get Excalibur. Excalibur, fuck it. Go to the Lady of the Lake and say, look, bitch, I'm about to go in knife or die. I need some shit to handle. But yeah, it's kind of interesting because the one thing that is fun is watching some of these practitioners go in and completely fail, but it's not necessarily their fault, because if you've got a blade that has been designed for a very specific density, there you go. But then suddenly you're going against ice? Oh my god, ice is horrible. I have taken the Sly Steel fob and held it and just chiseled in the ice, and was freaking out as I was hitting it how much feedback I was getting when I was puncturing it and chopping off little bits of pieces. And remember thinking to myself, Jesus Christ, I might actually break the fucking tip of this blade. It didn't break, it handled. But again, when you look at the thickness of the blade, well, there you go. It was super, super thick, super dense, and very, very compact. You get, I think, that's, again, a Gladius is designed for bone and muscle. It is double-edged, so theoretically you could, but I think it's long enough. I do think it's long enough, especially for the fish and the chicken. I think it's definitely long enough. And the nice thing about that is you probably wouldn't get a whole lot of fatigue from it. But the problem with it is the tip. Unless they made it thick. If they made that bitch thick, ooh, that would be cool, I think. It could, yeah, you know what? I would bet on that. I think now that I'm sitting there talking you through, yeah, I think like a Roman Gladius would be a decent blade, especially if it was sufficiently thick, because it does have the double edge. It's got the tip, so you could do some good thrusting and stuff like that. But you got to be careful. You make sure you use one side and keep that other side ready for when you get to the later stages of the test, because you do need to have good cutting ability as you get through, because there's those big ropes, then there's the wall of meat and all that other stuff that you got to get through. Let's see. Great swords were used for cutting through fields of pikes. Some of the swords were 6 feet in length. Yep, same blade, but called by a different name in Spain, Italy, Germany, such as Zweihanders, the two-handed swords. Yeah, there's one that I can't remember. You've got the cross guard, right? Then you've got a blade that comes up, and you've got like another cross section, and then you've got sharpened edge, right? So you can get leverage from back there and do these types of massive monster swings, but then you could also choke up midway up on the blade and do some more, fine type finesseful stuff, let's see, the Zombie Tools Legionnaire might do it, but I think that it's just too short. Yeah, you know, that's the problem I come with all the time with a lot of the blades that I really like. Like, shit, most of my shit's packed up now. It fucking pisses me off. But like, you know, even Slide Steel's Shark Tooth Tactical, man, that's a real intimate blade because you've only got about this much cutting surface on it. And so when I'm with my kids and we're talking about range and stuff, you know, you have a small blade like this, you know, that's really good for up close, you know, work. You get behind somebody, you know, you can get some really devastating hits and you get, you know, decent amount of, you know, leverage from this point of view, right? It's because it's just a very slight extension, so it's light. You can use snap cuts really good. But the problem I have is, you know, when you, for me anyway, I want a blade that extends my reach. Okay, so that way, it's like, imagine boxers. When you're looking at boxer stats, right? The guy that has the further reach has an advantage because the other guy has to get in past that to be able to land his hit. Okay, so when I like blades that have at least 6 inches. At least 6 inches. I would prefer to have about 8 inches. So 8 inches plus handle, you know, that's going to give me, here, let me see if I can get back far enough. That's going to give me this much extra reach, right? And for me, that's perfect for close quarter combat. Now, if I'm going something where I need real extreme range and I want to keep people back far, that's where things like spears, pole arms, things of that nature are completely invaluable, right? You know, then stuff like this, you know, I consider these like utility type blades for you to do real fine work and things of that nature, but you can still fight with it, but just understand when you have a blade that's this small, you're getting in. You're getting in. That's why I call these intimate. Very, very fucking intimate, right? You're getting up super close. And that being said, that also opens you up for counters, for somebody to have their own issue to counter what you've got. Exactly, that's what she said. You know, I might be compensating for dick size, and that's why I like bigger fucking blades. But I also do, in my heart, believe the increased blade length does increase your range and present for you a ring around yourself of more leverage, more force multiplier. Plus, the longer the blades, if you get more leverage, you also distribute more chopping power to it, right? Because now you've got more heft, you got more weight, you've got you know, more leverage. So again, getting back to that big giant sword, you know, that has the hand up midway, in my mind, that motherfucker is just a win-win, double-edged, choke up on it. You can leverage from way fucking back. Imagine how much force like a Reaver Cleaver has comparative to the blade that Jess wielded, regardless of the maker. It really doesn't matter who makes the blade. It matters more just the physics and the geometry and the amount of force plus the angle plus the sharpness. You take those variables into consideration, and that's how you're going to make sure you get through what you want. Because if you go too short, now you have to make sure as you step in that your form is that much more perfect. Whereas the more length of a blade you have, your form doesn't necessarily have to be that perfect. You have a little bit more forgiveness, especially as you're just swinging down. Even though the sword has evolved over thousands of years of battle and has proven awesome, I think that there's plenty of opportunity to adapt and perfect it even further. I agree. I'm a believer that anything can be improved, right? Whether it be material, whether it be the grind, whether it be, again, you know what it really comes down to is purpose, purpose of the tool, and execution of the tool. So, you know, we could sit and look at this obstacle course and we can make a monster blade that has different things, like that one I was telling you. One side here has a certain Rockwell hardness and an edge to it, and then the backside might be a blade as well that might be a little bit thicker, and then past the handle you have a tail end that just has like a big giant nasty pry bar slash chisel on there, and you know, you just change your grip, right? So now, you know, you go reverse grip, there's a chisel, the blade's still out here, so you can still hit it from the side, so that would get you through the ice. Flip it back around, hit that last strike, cuts through, gets into that pipe, the blood comes out, move on to the next challenge. You know, you sit there and you chop, chop, chop. You use your thinner edge with the weight behind it for your cleaving through your big items like your fish and the chicken. Again, but I'd want to make sure I have enough blade there to give me that leverage. And the other thing too is, and I tell my kids this all the time, the angle of attack is so important. You know, I saw so many times people just hitting it straight across. Can't do it. It won't work. And then you hear the commentator saying it. You have to have the right angle on this shit. You have to hit it just right. Just right. You know? A blade that can alter its Rockwell hardness to match the context it's deployed in, and that can make instantaneous repairs on itself. Yeah, some kind of nanotechnology. Yeah. Yep. Nanotech, where it takes from the material, and even though, say, some material transferred over, it just reprofiles itself just a little bit thinner, or then it sits there and says, okay, we see what's coming up here, so it wedges itself, you know. And that, you know, you might have some kind of a hybrid computer AI built into the blade. How fun would that be? The blade actually has a personality, and it can talk with you psionically. And you're like, okay, what are we dealing with here? And it's like, man, I've already scanned the material we're about to fuck with. You're going to have to make sure you get the right angle. And then as you're sitting there and you're positioning your hands, it's like vibrating to adjust your angle. That'd be fun. That'd be cool. Let's see, the blade temperature could even oscillate accordingly, like turn white hot and slice through that damned ice block. Or not even necessarily heat. It could be just a vibration. So sonically, as it comes near the target, it's projecting kind of a sonic vibration that hits and begins, you know, penetrating as you start going through. So the blade doesn't even necessarily touch it. It's just something that's vibrating and creating some kind of distortion through the air as it comes down. Or even if it blasts air and condense things, you know. Yep, just like a guillotine, it's all about the angles. Exactly. So, anyway, this actually turned out to be kind of a fun show. I didn't really have a whole lot, but, you know, thankfully you guys came and helped provide content for this. I fuck appreciate the hell out of you guys. I really do. We got 6 minutes, so we'll go ahead and continue having this conversation. But, yeah, you know, this is one of those things like, I had a chance to say, well, you know, maybe I will cancel the show, but, you know, I enjoy hanging out and stuff, and wanted to, oh, Stormbringer, Michael Moorcock, oh shit, Elric, Melbournaise, yeah, woo, that, man, that sword, that sucks souls and shit, man, you're dealing with a fucking bloodthirsty mystical blade right there. Yeah, even like imagine Star Wars with the lightsabers, right? It's basically like a fucking like a laser, you know, that's just inside of a controlled form, and you know you can cut through and cauterize wounds on the fly and shit. Yeah, there, you know, as time goes by, the one thing that's always fun about mankind is we always make really fun killing instruments, and we make them better and better as time goes on, but the oldies and the goodies still stand, you know what I'm saying? Yep, That's the sword to conjure with, exactly. But you gotta be careful because that fucking sword, if you're not strong enough, that sword controls you. You know what I mean? And that's always kind of the issue, right? You gotta be careful. Um, Another series that I liked swords was Fred Saberhagen's Lost Sword series. So they had swords that had very specific functions. They had a sword, for example, called Farslayer. So you could picture a motherfucker in your head that you wanted dead, and a sword would launch out of your fucking hand, and go seek that sumbitch out and kill him. You lost a sword because it ended up some other land stuck through somebody's fucking body. But it was a good series. It was a fun fucking thing. Exactly. See, now that would be fun too. A sword that uses acoustics, sound waves that are weaponized as it swings through the air, because sound does very interesting things to liquid, sand, things of that nature. Imagine a sword fights with that. You're like, and you're like, what the fuck is that sound? Sounds like pissed off hornets fucking a hummingbird. And all of a sudden you just see the guy swings in the air in front of him, and the guy stands and like, what? All of a sudden his fucking limbs just explode off of him and shit, you know? That's like Fist of the North Star type shit, but with blade art, you know? You do some crazy shit with that. It's gonna get there. It's gonna get there at some point. Like, I like the idea of a blade that separates itself ever so slightly, so you actually have it looks like a thick blade, but it has, you know, dozens of razor blade thick reinforced steel, so it looks like a regular thing, and then you hit and it just ends up creating multiple cuts as it passes through, you know, especially if it's doing a vibration and it's just vibrating, and you have like these razor blades slicing through and they're destroying all that flesh, you know. So like all the loose soft flesh is destroyed, but the bone is still maintained, so you lose this whole bottom segment of your arm and you just see exposed a big gaping chunk gone and blood flowing out, and you see a bone sitting there. It's like, it's so devastating. You don't even have to make contact with bone. You just hit once and it does such a destructive part on the flesh that people just bleed out like crazy, because there's no way you're going to stop. You lose a chunk of skin like this all the way down to the bone. You're not going to be able to stop that bleeding. You have to tourniquet up high. Basically, the guy's out of the fight immediately, right? Remember the clear crystallized aluminum whale tanks from Star Trek 3? Imagine an invisibly clear blade no one can see that can cut like nothing else. Well, air blade. Imagine if you had an air blade. You know, you see stuff right now where it's really condensed super air, and you see it cutting through steel. Imagine if there was a way to channel that kind of energy into air blades. So somebody sees you with a fucking hilt, and you're like, yeah, what are you going to do with that? And the head just falls off. You're like, what the fuck? You have no idea how long the blade is. It's like, it's an air blade. Yeah, motherfucker, I rock the air blades. It don't even make sounds. It's all silent. I'm like, what are you going to do with that? Hair's gone. Oh my god, I'm fucking bald. But anyway, I digress. Alright guys, that's going to be the show. I know things are going to work out. I'm optimistic. I appreciate the fuck that you guys come hang out with me on a Saturday. You actually make the week a lot more tolerable by doing this. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. You guys have a wonderful fucking Memorial weekend. And you guys basically be safe. Keep your head on a swivel. Look around. Sword whips. I have to check his shit out. That's kind of crazy. I've seen whips that have blades at the tips, but I'll have to take a look at that. I've seen some video games where there's a blade in a segment and it kind of whips around. Yeah, I won't be at Blade next week. I know there's some people that are going to be there, but I'm not going to be there. I know Prepare My 101's not going to be there. I don't know. I know... yeah, there's a couple of high-profile blade makers that are going to be there, but yeah, I keep wanting to go. I can't get out there with all this craziness going on. Maybe next year. I said that last year. I'll keep hoping. You know what I mean? But anyway, that's it. If you like it, please subscribe. Tell your friends far and wide. Until next time, be good to each other, good to yourselves. Live life to the fullest. Go out and get some scars, tell some stories, find some love, and all that jazz. All right, guys. I will see you guys hopefully next week. All right, man. Bye.